Here we have a new 2024 Toyota Camry. Now this Camry comes in the XSE trim level in supersonic red, and then we have black leather interior. Sorry for the wind here, but powertrain consists of a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, made into an 8-speed automatic transmission, giving us 301 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. But to the front end here, LED headlamps, LED daytime running lights. They don't blink like that. That's just how my camera's picking them up. But a nice sophisticated front end. And I really don't think this car is in need of a refresh, but we are getting, I think it might even be a redesign for 2025. And down to these wheels here, these are 19-inch alloy. And I love that kind of matte black finish there, especially with this red. But passive keyless entry on the front two doors, power door lock controls, rear window lock, power mirror controls, one-touch automatic up and down windows on all four doors. Hood release is there. We do get a manual tilt telescopic steering wheel. And then we have our power driver's seat with two-way power lumbar support. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. So we'll check out the legroom here momentarily. But a big shout out to John Roberts Toyota here in Manchester, Tennessee, for allowing me to review this Camry today. I'll leave a link below in the description. Well, let's check out this rear legroom. So in the back seat here, sitting behind myself, almost pretty good room, but honestly, it's not too uncomfortable because the back of the seat is pretty squishy. So if my kneecaps did need to go there for whatever reason, I could do that for a little bit. Have about ½ an inch of headroom between the top of my head and that headliner. But rear AC vents are here. Now I am looking for the charge ports, which I'm not seeing any, so that's kind of a disappointment. But we do get these LED reading lights back here, which is nice. We also get the panoramic sunroof as well. But let's go ahead and make our way towards the back. Before we do that, I'm just gonna open the gas cap so y'all can see in there. It is lockable, which is nice. I feel like Toyota's the one of the few brands that has these across their best sellers. Just a lockable gas cap. A lot of people worry about getting their gas siphoned and things of that nature. So not a big issue here. But I love the back end of these. They just look so sporty, especially with this V6 having the dual exhaust. Can't wait to drive it. Let's see if we can go ahead and open the trunk. Plenty of space back here. And we can hit that latch to fold the seats down. I'll show you that in a minute. And then this one has all-weather floor mats. So I'm gonna try and reach down here, see if we can get to the spare so y'all can see that. So jacking everything there. And then there's the spare tire if you ever need that. So that is a workout, having to hold this up and hold all this other stuff up. Especially when it's 30 degrees outside, because my nose is starting to drip a little bit. But to this rear passenger side, that's how that seat folds down. You can run longer objects through the back all the way to the front there. And I hope y'all are hearing this because this wind is atrocious out here. But there's the window sticker there. Y'all can pause anywhere you need to. And for this to be a V6, pretty good gas mileage. I think 22 city and 32 highway, in my opinion, is pretty impressive. But we are pushing close to 40 grand for this car in particular. But I am glad that we get a power front passenger seat for that price point. And then the glove compartment there, owner's manuals. Love that trim. And then as we come back around to the front end, I'm gonna pop the hood, see what's underneath. And again, 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, 301 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. Got a little dyslexic there. Let's hop in the driver's seat. Leather wrap steering wheel here. There's the horn. And to the screen here, we do get AM, FM, XM radio, along with Bluetooth audio. And then Apple CarPlay, Android Auto compatibility. Pretty simple screen here, nothing out of the ordinary. And then if you ever want to adjust your volume, you can turn up there, click to turn the audio source off, then your tune knob is there. Now with this JBL sound system, the sound can get in your face and it is very clear. And I think it's worth the extra money. I'm glad we get that on this one in particular. But backup camera, guidelines follow you, turn the steering wheel. Hazards there. Dual zone automatic climate controls are here. And to turn that auto mode off, just adjust the fan speed, and then we can adjust fan direction there. And then there's a USB-A port, 12 volt. Wireless charging pad is here. And you can push that back, you have a little storage compartment down there. And then for the shifter, grab the lever behind, reverse neutral drive. You can manually shift here, or you have the option of using these paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Then 3 drive modes: Eco, Normal, Sport, automatic brake hold, electronic parking brake, pull up to engage to the brake, press down to disengage. 3-stage heated front seats, bottle holders. Now for the center console cubby space, decent size, and you do get a USB-C and a USB-A charge port there. Garage door transmitter is integrated in this rear view mirror. And with the sunshade back, both the sunshade and the roof are power retractable, so that's one touch there, and that's how far it goes back. And then I'll show you how this thing closes as we take a look at the back from up here. I like how they did the vanity mirror. That light up there is LED, and then you can just shut that, and the light goes on and off with a mirror. Now to get a better view here, blinkers are here. There's auto beams there, and then high beams, or you can flash there. Then when you're in auto mode and you do that, turns on the automatic high beams. And then over here, we have our windshield wiper controls, one time off, intermittent low, high. We can adjust the intermittent here. And then radar cruise, we can turn that on or hold it to just get the constant speed control, and then cancel, adjust speed, gap adjust for the radar cruise. We can turn on the lane tracing system, and then we can decide if we want to have the lane centering, the steering assist, all of that. We can toggle that in the options menu there. And then we can go through our audio sources here, track list or radio station presets here, volume here, voice recognition, Bluetooth, and then these 4 arrows, the OK button and the back button, are to go through this digital gauge cluster we have in the center. So within here, I can go and just adjust everything, the heads-up display, gauge cluster, just how everything appears, all of that can be adjusted there. And there's the heads-up display there. Push button start. And then here's the key fob. And next, let's take this Camry XSE V6 out on the road for a test drive. Now, starting the test drive in this Camry XSE V6, the V6 is pretty strong. And I like how it shifts, especially if you want to put it in a sport mode, use the paddle shifters. You can get a nice, like a real sports car, I think, out of this with 301 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. It just feels like something you should have on a NASCAR track. Not necessarily something that's that quick, but you know, the Camry is I think it's still a NASCAR, and that's kind of where I get that. I feel like that this, just for the average driver, gets a name that's deserving of a NASCAR, if that makes sense. Because this is fun to drive. Even the 4-cylinder with paddle shifters is fun to drive, but especially this V6, it is sporty. And of course, you get the sport tune suspension. You get a traditional transmission that you can shift, not a CVT. And I'm very appreciative of Toyota for keeping it real when it comes to that, because the Malibus that are still out, Those have CVTs. I think the Accord has a CVT now. The Altima definitely has a CVT. So having something like this with just a traditional transmission that's still getting about as good gas mileage as you can expect in the segment, I'm just proud of Toyota for what they've done with this car. Now with the Sport Tune suspension, it is a bit stiffer than the competition. It is, I feel more agile, I can feel the road more. So depending on what you're looking for in a car, that can help or hurt the decision to go this way. But a very easy to drive vehicle, I think. And under just cruise control conditions, the engine tends to be pretty quiet. I'm right at, it's gotta be like 1100 RPMs. So that is very impressive. Now I do think that this can be an expensive option compared to other vehicles in the segment, but for what you get, I do think there's not a lot of competition there. I mean, I can't think of another V6 sedan off the top of my head. I mean, the Sonata is 4-cylinder and then 4-cylinder turbo. The Altima, I think can you still get a 3.5 with that? I haven't reviewed one this year, at least. I think that might still be an option, but the VC turbo is pretty much the top level there, or you can get the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. And then the Malibu just having the 1.5 turbo 4. There's really not a lot of just normal everyday cars that have a V6, especially a strong V6 at that. So again, 32 miles per gallon on the highway, you're fuel efficient, but then if you want to put this into sport mode, turn the paddle shifters on, you have something that's very capable in terms of acceleration. But overall, I like the cabin. I do feel like the screen is dated. Not my favorite thing about these, but I feel like the Camry's gonna shut out the competition with 25. I haven't done that much research into that model year, but I mean, they have a good reputation. They have a very good looking car. And then to just take that to another level, I'm sure we're gonna see an all new infotainment system. I don't know what technology they could bring to the table that isn't already great like this here, but we'll just have to see. But we're gonna take it on the interstate, try to give it a pull here. So just light acceleration here. And I mean, just very strong. So I have the full safety suite activated now. And then we're gonna put it into eco mode and then just test out the driving system itself. So with the Toyota Safety Sense 2.5, again, lane tracing assistant, radar cruise control, blind spot monitors, just everything you could expect here. And just an on-demand manual shift system. So if I want to keep it at high RPMs to kind of give it throttle, even in this setting here in eco mode, I can. I'm going to put it back into auto mode. But honestly, the ride quality here is very good, and the vehicle itself is relatively quiet. Again, even with this being a sports sedan, having a V6 and all of that, it still is doing a fantastic job at being a good everyday driver's car. And you're supposed to hold the steering wheel while you're using this system, but I kind of know these cars inside and out, so I know kind of what these don't like, what they do like. Now on the interstate here, they tend to do a bit better just in terms of staying in the lines and what have you. But in the city, you can use it, but it's not going to be 100% accurate. It's not a full self-driving system, even a semi-autonomous system, although a lot of the times it is used that way. But I think still a very impressive car, and I'm just excited to see what Toyota brings to the table for the 2025 model year. With that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2024 Toyota Camry XSE V6.